Why no one wants to work anymore? Probably because even if you work two jobs, you still won't be able to pay all of your bills. Most likely, right? Also, people have a lot of consumerism type problems.
All right, so let's talk about teachers as an example of this problem. The median
Okay.
income for a public school teacher in America is about $60,000, which means that half of them
Horrible.
are earning less than $60,000, which is
Yep.
terrible for a job that requires a degree.
Yep.
Especially when you consider that it could take years.
I'd say teachers are one of those kinds of professions in every single country, right? That should be paid above average. Like you know how software engineers have been traditionally praised but make a lot of money. Teachers should be in that kind of a position as well. Maybe you can create some kind of a ranking position where based on their performance they would also get bonuses and more money. Uh, maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a horrible idea, but I think that should be a very well paid profession.
Years to even reach 60,000, with the starting salary generally being around $40,000, and that they often end up spending
Damn.
money out of their own pocket to provide school supplies for their students, and that in addition to being in class from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., they usually end up spending many more hours at home working to mark papers and plan lessons with no extra pay. When you factor all of this in,
Yeah. Also, during the summer, are teachers paid? Do they have to get a other part time or full time job during the whole summer? What do you mean? Also, a starting pay 40 something K. Might as well just learn how to fix toilets and you'll make more.
teachers are barely earning above minimum wage, and many end up working second jobs during the evenings and weekends. Here
Oh,
in
okay.
Canada, the pay for teachers is a bit
I mean,
higher,
it's not
but
okay.
it still takes many years before they're making a solid livable income. And we're not
Yeah.
even going to get into all the drama that comes along with working with kids with things like behavioral issues or parental drama or whatever else. Based on all of this, I personally would never want to become a teacher, and I would never encourage anyone in my life to become one either. Even if you have a passion for teaching and you love
That's
kids, and
sad.
it's
That's
something that
sad.
you
Like the fact that a lot of us say, we would not encourage you to become a teacher. Now, if teachers are actually paid well, but they're also paid when they're not working. They still have some job to do when it's the summer when there's no kids at school. Probably, but probably not as much. And if at least they're paid like a little bit above average, I'd say that's a pretty good freaking job. But also dealing with little kids, I'd rather deal with a single horrible boss.
deeply value. Unfortunately, pursuing this career is basically guaranteeing yourself a life of financial hardship. You'd be
Yeah,
murdering yourself for your job. There are
yeah.
countless other professions that you could go into with similar prerequisites, where you'd make way more money with way less aggravation
Even
and just
less
live a better life overall.
prerequisites.
But we need teachers, so what do we do? And like I said, we could have this exact same conversation about countless other careers. Like, think about this. If you were planning to head to college or university soon, and you were about to dedicate 4+ years of your life and tens of thousands of dollars to getting an education, wouldn't it make the most sense to pursue a field that was going to give you the best possible ROI? Like if a bachelor.
Yeah, in most fields and most college degrees, based on this, useless. Useless. Let's be honest. If you're maybe like engineering degrees and medical degrees, yeah. Most other degrees, ooh, I don't know, man. Law maybe as well. I don't know about anything else.
For a master's degree could qualify you for a job in finance or tech or engineering or any other position
Yeah.
where you could basically make 6 figures a year sitting in an air-conditioned office or even working remotely from your own home. What would motivate someone to spend the same amount of time and the same amount of money working towards something that will pay significantly less and come with way more stress and way more chaos? I don't
Yep.
know about you, but I would much rather spend my days writing emails than wiping butts or dressing wounds, especially if I'll make more money. Hustle culture loves to push the narrative that the amount of
Please tell me that nurses make at least a little bit above more average, please.
income you earn is directly reflective of how hard you
The
work and
scammer.
the value you bring to society. But that might just be one of the biggest piles of horseshit I have ever heard, because in actuality, it's usually the complete opposite. The people
Yep.
we depend on the most are often the most exploited. They're made to work the longest hours, to do the most physical and often the dirtiest work, and they're paid the least. While the people who contribute almost nothing to society, like finance bros and corporate CEOs and management consultants and real estate
Yeah, well, that's how society is run nowadays, especially the West. I mean, it's been like this for like way more than just a few decades, right? It's not about how much work you do. Yeah, a construction worker can work 7 days a week for 10 hours, which is insane. But for example, right, there's probably people like that out there, and they're not going to be paid as much as, I don't know, a senior financial analyst or something. Like, for example, right? It's not about how much work you do physically or mentally. It's about how many people are able to do that job. So, cleaning, most people can do that job, okay? Some people are gonna be shit at it, especially me. But you can do it. You'll get better at it as days pass, I guess, right? But shit like operating surgeries on organs, yeah, that's why you're gonna be paid way more. Even if you work 3 days a week as a surgeon, for example, I know this is a fantasy, you're obviously gonna make more money compared to somebody who cleans or is a waiter, because most people can't do that job. It is how it is. I'm not saying that those people shouldn't be making a livable wage. I think everybody should be making a livable wage. That's like the left-leaning side of me. You guys know I've got a mixed bag of left and right-leaning politics in my head. I'm not fully on either side, but I think everybody should be able to make enough to be able to freaking survive. Not survive, to live a normal life. But yeah, we can't just say somebody who is a janitor should make the same amount of money as somebody who operates on cancer patients. I'm sorry.
Investors, celebrities, and yes, influencers make stupid money by comparison.
Yeah.
And
Evil laugh,
far more
huh?
flexibility and just a much better quality of life overall. I mean, look how soft my hands are now. Imagine
Oh,
for a
mine
minute
are
if every
horrible.
teacher or nurse or daycare worker or truck driver disappeared tomorrow. We'd be completely screwed. People would die. But now imagine
Unless AI takes over before all those people, somehow disappear.
if every CEO or corporate consultant or influencer disappeared tomorrow.
But then there would be no consumers.
Would anyone even notice? If hard work was actually rewarded, janitors would be millionaires, and hedge fund managers who spend their days moving numbers around on spreadsheets and scrolling Wall Street bets, they'd be making minimum wage. And there
Yeah,
was
it's
probably
not
no
about
clear
hard
example of
work
this than
only.
the COVID pandemic, where we realized very quickly who was and wasn't an essential worker. But once again, the people who truly do the most important work were exploited. Grocery store employees, hospital staff, and delivery drivers were made to work long hours in unsafe conditions for pitiful wages, while many higher earners were able to comfortably work from home while they hung out with their families and baked sourdough bread.
Yeah, listen, when you have those, you can't just stop because of a virus or something. You can't just stop making certain people work. You can't. I can see why, I don't know, kindergarten workers would stop working. I can see it. I will. I will get that scenario, but you can't just stop people that work in mines or with sewage or the electricity grid or nuclear power plants. Or you can't just say, oh no, just leave. No, nobody has to work. Maintaining the electricity and water and sewage and all the other essentials so society functions. Just go and sleep until 1 p.m.
The real question is, why is it like this, and how did we get here? The unfortunate reality is that our modern economy increasingly rewards extraction over production. So instead of valuing people who perform important tasks or create useful products, it rewards things like financial speculation and data farming and advertising. This is why we've seen such a boom in people buying investment properties and flipping houses, or selling online courses on how to buy investment properties and flip houses. This is why memes—
Don't buy courses on that shit, please. Please. I'm entering in a real estate business with my dad, so I have a lot of startup money and land and potential apartments because of that. Don't buy any just fucking course. Just, I guess, learn as you go. And try not to make horrible. I'm not a real estate businessman expert. I'm just starting out. I'm 24. I'm a dumbass, okay? In 15, 20 years from now, if I'm successful, I can give advice.
Stocks in crypto and prediction markets exist.
Or maybe in 5 years
This is
from
why
now.
every tech gadget on planet Earth wants to collect your personal information. And this is why advertisements are baked into literally everything now. The entire economy has essentially turned into this huge Ponzi scheme where people are getting rich by playing hot potato and running off, leaving others holding the bag. On an individual scale, it honestly has never been easier for people to make a lot of money. Like, passive income used to be a myth, or at least it was something that was exclusive to the ultra-wealthy, but now it exists and it's accessible to pretty much anyone thanks to the internet. But the flip side of this is that there's less incentive than ever to pursue the type of meaningful work that society requires in order to function. I saw a video recently about a burnt-out nurse who was able to leave her job because her golden retriever's Instagram page was bringing in $20,000 a month. And listen,
God
on a
damn.
personal level, I love that for her. But imagine,
Wait, what are you gonna do when that golden retriever just, they don't live for that long? You're gonna get a new golden. When that golden hits 10 years old or even like 8, you're getting a new golden. I'm sorry, that is very dark, but just be realistic. How would you maintain that stuff?
imagine if every nurse did that. Imagine going into the ER and you're in critical condition and there's no one available to help you because they've all become vloggers or OF models.
Yep,
or
yep,
You'd be
yep, yep.
completely screwed. But if you
Yep.
were a nurse working 60 hours a week, running around, cleaning blood and snot and God knows what else, and someone offered you the opportunity to more than double your
This is
salary
stuff that a lot of
working
people-
less than
oops.
half the hours from home.
This is
making
stuff that a
videos-
lot of people don't mention, that a lot of online entrepreneurs are just, their business is selling you a business. Their business is teaching you how to do a business. It's like the most lucrative type of business you'll see these days. Gurus, right? And it's like, okay, but not everybody in the world can just make money online and be a content creator or course seller or whatever. These are just basically non-existent jobs. Yeah, a lot of people online are teaching you how to, do woodwork, how to become I don't know, stuff with medicine, stuff with software engineering, stuff with finances, which can help you with getting a job. Sure, but not everybody can do that. Somebody has to do the job. A lot of people have to do the job. You know what I mean?
with your dog, can you honestly say that you wouldn't do it? And listen,
Yeah.
I know that supporting yourself off of your dog's social media following might be an extreme example.
Awesome.
But the fact is that many people have woken up to the realization that a lot of very well-respected and vitally important jobs are a scam for the people who do them.
Yeah.
That their hard work will never be rewarded. That
Yeah.
pats on the back and thank yous and high fives don't pay the bills. And that if they're only going to earn a mediocre wage,
So, just a question. What do you guys think? Should a job be paid more based on how essential it is for society? Because a lot of jobs, like for example, recycling, trash management, all of that. Every city, every country has to have that because keeping the city clean is very important for multiple freaking reasons. It's an important job, but it's not that well paid because everybody can do it. So should it be paid a lot because it's essential for society, right? Trash management. Or should jobs be paid more based on how easy it is for the average person to do it? How many people are able to do that kind of a job? Because right now, it's more based on that. And right now, it's more based on not how essential it is, but how many people can do the job. Because there's some jobs that are very essential, but they're not that well paid, like trashmen, for example, as I said, or that are not that essential, not that important, but a few people can do it. And it's very, very well paid. You guys can think of a lot of examples. You can ask GPT if you want to, right? There's probably tons of examples. What do you think? I'd say everything should be well fucking paid. Why not? You know what I mean?
there are far easier ways to do it. And
It's
we're
not
already
just.
seeing
It's
the
not our
effects of this.
reality.
In both the US and Canada, we have huge shortages of teachers, nurses, PSWs, paramedics,
No,
and
it's
construction
everywhere.
workers. The agriculture industry is in massive trouble because farmers are rapidly aging and retiring, with over 40% of them already being over 65 years old, and young people don't want to work on farms. It's very hard work.
It's
but
very nice and profitable if you already have your own farm. Being employed at a farm, yeah.
it's not very profitable. In fact, without migrant workers, our entire food system probably would have collapsed already. And perhaps the most interesting part of all of this, at least from my perspective, is where the blame tends to fall. Like, a few years ago, I read an article about how Ben & Jerry's pays their ice cream scoopers over $20 an hour. And the comment section
Ooh.
was full of people outraged by the fact that they were earning around the same, maybe
Damn.
even less in their more skilled job. I remember there was one comment in particular that said something along the lines of, "No one deserves $20 an hour for scooping ice cream. That's how much I earn as an EMT with a bachelor's degree."
Nobody deserves nothing. Okay? With that logic, nobody deserves nothing. Either we as humans are going to create our perfect society where nobody's going to be struggling to have the basics of life, the basic necessities of life, or we're going to continue doing what we're doing, which I don't think it's going to get better. I'm sorry for being pessimistic.
degree. I should just quit my job and work
Prove
with
me
Ben &
wrong,
Jerry's."
I'll be happy.
And I mean, honestly, in that guy's position, I probably would. But really, this just goes to show how and why the system continues to operate as it does. By dividing up the working class and pitting us all against each other, politicians and CEOs, the people who are actually in charge of setting people's wages and working conditions, they've been able to skate by without taking any accountability for their actions. If you work as an EMT and you earn $20 an hour, and then you see a teenager getting paid the same to sell ice cream, your anger should be directed at the person or the body that determines your pay, not the ice cream kid. He's not taking anything from you. The problem is not that he's being overpaid for a simple job, it's that you're being criminally underpaid for a very important one. Ben & Jerry's cutting his pay in half tomorrow.
Yeah, but at the same time, and this is a problem, again, not a financial expert, you guys can correct me if anybody knows more, but if you work at a big company, right, and you're paid a certain amount, you're seeing the CEO, the owner of the company, makes $100 million. Like his net worth is $100 million. The company, everything he owns, right? So why wouldn't he just, I don't know, just fall to? Why wouldn't he just remove $5 million in a year? Like he's going to be worth $95 million, so that all of his employees are paid way more. And they will go into, the company's expenses. Well, they want to, squeeze as much profit as possible because they don't care as much about their employees as they care about their stakeholders, about their investors. You know what I mean? They want the charts to look good. It just is what it is. There's probably a lot more other factors, right? Because, like, for example, inflation. When that's a lot of stuff that I've noticed with very high inflation is, and I'm just 24, I haven't lived that long, right? Inflation works like something like, once something becomes very expensive, it's very, very rare for the price to fall that lower more than what it was in the peak. You know what I mean? Like before some pandemic or some inflation, something happens because some kind of a war, the prices for eggs were like this, and then they skyrocket because of inflation, because of war. You're expecting them to fall like they were before that, right? No, they'll be somewhere in the middle or a little bit more above that, or maybe they'll stay at the same price. And they just won't continue growing for a certain amount of time. There's probably financial expert that might explain this, but this is what I've noticed in my very few 24 years of being alive.
Do nothing to improve your life. But by keeping us all infighting and blaming each other for our hardships, those who are actually in charge never face any blame whatsoever, and they're able to just continue with business as usual. I've always believed that most humans have the innate desire to be productive and feel useful, that there's something deeply fulfilling about knowing that you're contributing to society and helping others and bettering yourself in the process. But our current economic system is making it harder and harder to do that, which is why we're seeing labor shortages and lower reported levels of life satisfaction in the most important job fields. All the good intentions in the world aren't enough when you're busting your ass for 50 hours a week and still barely making rent. And listen, I will never claim to be a political scientist or an economist, but I do think that all of this makes an interesting case for universal basic income, where everyone is given the guarantee of at least...
Listen, it sounds nice, but I just don't know how realistic it is. I'm not seeing it for multiple reasons. We can talk about it in some other video.
Security and a dignified existence, but with the opportunity to work as we see fit for a higher standard of living. I think that if by default we were all afforded, I don't know, let's say like a small shitty apartment, a shoestring grocery budget, and a bus pass, I think most of us would still choose to work for more. I know I would for sure, but the safety net would give people the ability to pursue important and meaningful work with a reduced level of stress and less chance of burnout. And I think that
And trust me, one of the biggest modern killers in the Western world, obesity being one of them, right? But it's also stress. A lot of health issues, a lot of other stuff that just compound one on top of the other, and you end up being very unhealthy and having a lot of problems. It just compounds. Low stress, binge eating, low sleeping because of high stress, binge eating. Because of that, you're getting extra issues. Because of that, your looks deteriorate, which gives you extra stress, which in turn, and so on. It's how do we fix this current economy problem that we are having in all of the world, right? We're seeing tons of CEOs making billions and millions, and they have the money to pay the employees, but they're not doing it because of X reasons that I mentioned, and probably way more reasons. So I don't think anybody except the government and politics would be able to change that. But at the same time, I'm not seeing how politics being mixed with business is a good idea. I'm not really seeing how this would be like changed for the better, or I'm really not. And I've watched tons of videos of tons of, maybe they're experts, maybe they're not, but I've watched a lot of videos on like finance problems, migration problems, childbirth problems, health issues, all of these modern issues in the world. I don't know, man. This is why I'm becoming very, very nihilistic, and just to keep myself sane.
Make them more efficient at their jobs too. Like, imagine how much your attitude about work would change if you only had to work 3 or 4 days a week, and if you knew that you'd be okay in the event that something happened and you had to take some time off. I think it's quite likely that as AI continues to take over more jobs, that UBI will become an inevitability at some point in the not too distant future, but I guess we'll see. But in the meantime, the best solution I found, and the one that has worked the best for me for the last number of years, is income diversification. Because by building up multiple streams of income, you can essentially give yourself UBI. Like for years,
basically what you're trying to say is, try to make something from, some money by yourself. Diversify. Having some kind of a job, just for some kind of stability, and then also trying. I know, we're tired, we have to work so much more. It is what it is. It is what it is. Boomers created this. It was amazing for them. And now, we're the most educated generation in the world, in history, right? Search it up. Gen Z and probably Gen Alpha, millennials as well. And we got the short end of the stick.
Worked my day job, and I ran this channel, and I invested diligently, and I had other side hustles all at the same time. So when I needed a break, I could take one knowing that I had backup sources of income to support myself with. When Levi got sick last fall, the only way that I was able to take a step back from my work to be with him and to take care of him, to take him to all his vet appointments, was because I had this channel earning me some secondary income. And because I had this secondary income, I was able to work fewer days away from home, which made me actually like my job a whole lot more when I did it. Because instead of feeling tired and resentful all the time, I appreciated it as a way to stay mentally stimulated a few days a week while helping others. I can't stress this enough, but the mental shift of working not because you have to, but because you want to, is life-changing. So yeah, the truth is that starting a side hustle or otherwise finding yourself some sort of supplementary, more passive form of income can...
I 100% agree with her. I hope I get to some point with my channel. By the way, I live in like Southeastern Europe. The average monthly salary here is like $800, $700 a month. So let's say I have a job. I'm working on this real estate business that is probably going to take some time with my dad. But for now, I have this job, for example, and I also want to... if I just make a couple of $100 or $300-$400 a month just off of YouTube, I'll basically be in the same position that she is in this video, in that situation specifically with her dog. Anyway, who's gonna watch me? I'm fucking boring and annoying. Nobody wants to freaking watch me. Go and subscribe to According to Nicole. She makes great videos. This is not the first video that I've watched from her. And have a nice day. And tell me what you guys think about this as well. Of course, leave a comment.